Good afternoon folks, 21st Century Caveman here. Hope everybody's safe, hope everybody's well. Best of health to you all. So I'm in the man cave again, and I'm in the process of sorting out my camping and hiking gear. Got stuff absolutely everywhere, and it sort of occurred to me that this might be an opportunity to do an interesting little vid for you as I sort through my camping and hiking gear. So I just wanted to set myself up with a nice strong coffee and get myself a little bit organised, and then I'll go through the subject matter of today, boys and their toys, in particular my knives. Here you will see a very small selection of cutting tools ranging from a simple folding knife through to multi-tools to the largest cutting implement here, which is clearly a machete. So I've been doing the outdoor thing now for many years, and during the course of this time I've acquired a very small selection of knives, which you can see displayed here on the table. So we're just going to go through these one by one. I'm not going to be doing a review on any of these, just giving you a little bit of an idea as to what they are and what the appeal is really. So the first one we're going to be looking at then is the Opinel folding knife. So the Opinel is actually a French made knife, and they come in different sizes. This is one of the larger ones, it's a number 9. So these French made knives then, they probably come with one of the most unique and brilliant locking devices, which you can see here on the screen, and they come in the form of a collar which rotates and locks the blade when it's out and also when it's in the handle. And the beauty of these knives is the fact that they're very lightweight, they're very sharp, they're very easy to sharpen in the field, and they're also a very traditional and stylish looking knife. So as previously mentioned then, they do come in a number of different sizes and colourways, and these are as cheap as chips, so you can pick these up for around, well, for less than £10 actually. So the knives then, they typically have a beech handle, or at least this one does, which you're having a look at now, and the blades are carbon steel. Now because it's a carbon steel blade, it will rust, so you've got to make sure that you do keep these well maintained. But the other thing about that is the fact that when you do use them, so for example for cutting food and when you use them in different applications, these blades do get a really nice patina on them. So I think these are absolutely fantastic, cheap as chips, lightweight. The only sort of downside is the fact that the handles would need a little bit of attention to my mind, because they are quite slippery, and obviously these knives are for lightweight use only, but given their price point they're absolute bargains, and I'd highly recommend that anybody who has anything to do with the outdoors etc. should acquire one of these. So we're now going to take a look at the Bahco multi-tool. Now I do actually have a couple of these Bahcos. I keep one as part of my EDC, otherwise known as my everyday carry, and also keep a spare in the car, and basically I use that as an escape tool. So for example to cut seat belts, smash window, that sort of thing, if God forbid I were ever to get trapped following an accident in my car. So these multi-tools then contain a number of useful tools. The actual multi-tool itself cost around about £12. I've had this particular one for about 6 years now. The grade of materials isn't particularly high, and you can't expect that for the price point, but I think these do represent very, very good value for money, providing you don't abuse them. And once again, these are a budget price multi-tool, and they are for light use only. Now this multi-tool does come with a sheath. It's a pretty sort of cheap affair. You can stick it on your belt with a clip, or else you can feed your belt through it. So yeah, it's pretty cheap, but it's still a holder for your multi-tool, which means you don't have to put it in your pocket. So now we're going to have a look at another multi-tool, and this is a premium multi-tool made by Leatherman. Now Leatherman's come in a vast array of different models. The one we're looking at here is called a Leatherman Charge AL. Now compared to the Bahco we've just been looking at, which is around about 12 quid, these cost anywhere between 170 and 190 pounds. So this is an upgraded version of probably one of the most popular multi-tools of them all, the Leatherman Wave. So this does actually have a number of unique features, the main ones being the fact that all of the blades are on the outside, the one-handed opening, and they also lock as well. So the materials which this is made of are all premium components, and they have a very good selection of the most common tools. This is an absolutely excellent all-rounder, and you know, this is perfect, I believe, for use in an urban environment. So these are expensive then, and also these particular multi-tools are very heavy. So an advantage of the multi-tool is the fact that the blades are made of very high quality steel, so the blades do stay sharp for longer. However, once they dull, you do have to work on them quite a bit, so they're not the easiest thing to work on out in the field basically. So as I say, I think these are absolutely perfect for any urban environment and for the explorer or adventurer. But obviously if you get one of these, because the blades are locking, you've got to make sure that you're aware of, you know, all of your local laws. So good little pair of scissors there, look, a couple of files, and also previously you would have seen a very small screwdriver set for spectacles. So here you can see the one-handed opening and closing in close-up. So this, as I say, is a very good quality tool, but it is expensive. So the sheath for this Leatherman then is actually quite a nice one. They do come in different versions. So this is made of a sort of, I don't know, ballistic nylon, I suppose, for want of a better word. So it's quite a nice heavy duty one. You can slide your belt through it, because this is not a multi-tool because of the weight you'd want to keep in your pocket. Now there is another version of this which I do have, which has a elasticated loop or funnel on both sides. So on one side, for example, you can put a fire steel, and the other one you can, say for example, have a small pen torch, and you do get a bit set with these with a number of common bits which are very handy to have indeed. So now we're looking at a very large folding pocket knife made by a company called Victorinox, which many people will have heard of, and this is also an absolutely brilliant multi-tool in its own right. So there are many different versions of these knives. This is called the Rangergrip 78. It costs around about £60. You can buy it from a multitude of sources. So as I say, this is a very large folding knife, and it has possibly one of the largest folding saws in any pocket knife, well certainly that I'm aware of anyway. It's called a Rangergrip because it has a really nice rubbery tight grip, which means that your hands don't slip, and this is important when you're trying to open and close the blade, and obviously also if you've got perspiration on your hands, etc. So this is an absolutely lovely knife. Once again, it's one-handed opening, but this is for the blade only, but the blade does lock in place. And here you can see the absolutely fantastic wood saw here, which unfortunately doesn't lock, but you know, you can't have everything for the price, can you? Once again, this has a number of very useful features, and it's made of very good quality materials at a very affordable price. But this would be absolutely perfect for an outdoorsman, you know, somebody who actually likes to work or play in a countryside setting, but this is definitely more of a country knife rather than to be used in an urban setting. There's also a couple of nice little tools here, look, nice little features. You've got a very small pair of tweezers, and also you've got a toothpick, which are both located in the handle here, as you can see. I suppose the only downside to a tool like this is the fact that you have to have a reasonable set of nails to access all of the tools in here. So if you bite your nails down like I do, it can be a little bit difficult getting to these tools. So next up then, we're looking at a lovely fixed blade knife. This is called a Mora Companion and is probably one of the best bang per buck knives out there. So anybody who's familiar with the outdoors will know of the Mora range. So these are excellent quality knives for the price point. You can get them dirt cheap. This particular model, the Companion, I bought it for less than £12. It has a carbon steel blade. It has a nice comfortable handle, which also has a good grip. As you can see, it comes in a, quite a nice little plastic sheath. And yeah, so this would make an excellent spare knife, or a knife to be used in a camp kitchen, or indeed if, say for example, you're a beginner doing bushcraft, something like that, then this would be absolutely perfect for that. Or indeed if you're a skinflint and on a tight budget, there's no reason why you couldn't use this as your main knife. So the blade, as you can see, is very thin, which makes it perfect for carving things like feather sticks. The blade, the grind on there is a Scandi grind, and yeah, absolutely fantastic knife. So this one here then is a much better quality, a much stronger version. This is called a Mora Bushcraft Forest. It costs around about £30 from a variety of sources. So this knife is bigger, it's beefier, and as a result of that it's going to be stronger. But this is a wonderful fixed blade knife, a budget price knife really. Now both of these knives, I normally keep them on a lanyard, which I hang around my neck underneath my jacket, so they're nice and accessible. It's this particular one, as you can see, it's got some Ranger bands on these, and Ranger bands are basically sections of an inner tube of a bicycle, and they're very handy because they can keep things attached to the sheath, that sort of thing, and also you can cut them up into slithers and you can use them for fuel. They burn very well indeed. So another main difference between this knife and the previous one, the Mora Companion, is the fact that the blade on this one is made of stainless steel as opposed to carbon steel. So because this is stainless steel, it won't rust as readily, so maintenance isn't such a high priority really. But with the carbon steel one, if it gets exposed to moisture or damp conditions, then it will rust. So this will be useful in a situation whereby there's lots of humidity, or you're in a damp environment, that sort of thing. The blade also on this one is thicker, and as I say, that's why it's stronger. Once again, this is a blade which, well, all of the Moras, they come really sharp out of the box, and also they're very easy to get a nice sharp edge on when they do become dull. So the very last one then, as you can see, it's a machete. So this is a machete which is made by a company called Cold Steel, and the style of machete, there are lots of different types. It's called a Kukri. So this is a Kukri machete made by Cold Steel, and it's basically a large version of the type used by the Gurkhas. Now clearly you know, this isn't a Gurkha knife. They'd be a hell of a lot more expensive than this. This is basically a budget price machete, but although it's very, very cheap, it's virtually indestructible. And I've seen loads of sort of torture tests on YouTube with these knives here, and they're absolutely fantastic. You can practically get these blades and bend them in 90 degrees. Now, they're a lovely weighted item. The price of these is around about sort of £23, and that represents an absolute bargain. You can get them anywhere really on the net. So this is a budget machete and an absolutely brilliant buy. Once again, carbon steel blade, so you need to make sure you maintain it. So if, for example, you were stuck on a desert island or you were lost out in the woods, you could do a hell of a lot worse than to have one of these on your belt. So this is the collection. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.